Everyone, this is a video going through my process of updating the Palia Autosplitter script anytime there's a new release of the Palia client. The two parts of the script that we need to update anytime the game is updated are these two state stanzas at the top of the script. These stanzas include information that the Autosplitter uses to read your character's X, Y, and Z coordinates from in game memory. The process that we're going to go through here is aimed at finding a stable memory reference for these values. It's important that we find something that's as stable as possible because we want it to always consistently point to the same point of memory every time we reload the game. I have some steps here written out for how to do this process. So what we're going to do is start by loading up whichever game uh, whichever version of Palia, either the Steam client or the native Windows launcher, and going into the tower. We're going to hit unstuck so that we go back to our starting position in the tower, and then open up Cheat Engine and attach Cheat Engine to the Palia process. So to find the character's uh, exposition in memory, we're going to start by doing a memory scan for the known x coordinate of our character when we're freshly unstuck. And that value is 19,430. We're going to put 19,430 here in the value field, and we're going to do an exact value scan for double type values with that value, and then hit first scan. When you do this, you're going to get several thousand addresses found here on the left. In order to whittle down this address list a little bit, what we're going to do is go into the game and walk forward a little bit. This is going to increase our X value. And so we're going to go to scan type increased value and then hit next scan. And then you should see the number of addresses here on the left decrease. So it's taking all of those first values that were found to have our starting coordinate and then now checking those same addresses and seeing which one of those increased. And then we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to walk back the other direction, which is going to decrease our X value. So we're going to do scan type decrease value and hit next scan. And we're going to repeat this process by walking forward, doing increased value, next scan, walking back, doing decreased scan type, and doing that until we have a reasonable number of addresses here. Typically, when I get to about 200, I will stop doing that and take all of these addresses and click this red arrow to add them to my address list down here at the bottom. The next thing we're going to do is do a little bit of searching for a needle in a haystack to see which one of these values precisely is our actual x coordinate. And so to do that, we're going to select roughly half of all of them, click on the value column, and then edit it to 0. And if we teleport like this, that means that in these addresses that we selected is our character's X position. And so we can take all of the values that we didn't select and delete them from our address list. And we're going to do the same process over again. So we take roughly half, click on value, edit it to 0. And if we don't teleport, that means that our character's X value isn't in these addresses, so we can delete them. Do the same thing, select roughly half, edit 0. We teleport, so we delete the ones that we didn't select and keep on doing that until we're down to one address. It's almost definitely going to have it because all these are 0. Can't be our X coordinate if it's currently 0. Again, none of these. Do it again. One of these two. Which one of these is it? It's this one. Okay, so we found our first X coordinate in memory. So we're going to call this Steam X number 1. We call it number 1 because we have to repeat this process twice. Before we reload the game, though, we're going to right click this address and hit generate pointer map. and we'll just call it something like it opened up over here, but call it Steam number one scan. And then this is going to take a little bit to generate the pointer map. I'll fast forward here. Okay, so once it's done generating the pointer map, it will save the pointer map and close the window. And then one final thing that we want to do before we reload is take this address, you double click the address column here, and then save the address value here for later. I'm just going to record that down in my note. So now we're going to restart the game, and we're going to do this process all over again. We're restarting the game because we want to uh, do two separate pointer scans and then compare them to each other to reduce the number of candidates that we have for stable pointers in the final step of this. So just close your game out, reload it. And then once we're booted back in, we're going to do that exact same process before. You go into the tower, and then you want to find your character's X coordinate again. I'll probably fast forward through this part a little bit because we just covered it. Okay, so we found the second address after we reloaded the game. We're going to repeat the steps of generating a pointer map here. Right click, generate pointer map. I'm going to call this one Steam number two. And then give this a while to generate that pointer map. Okay, so the pointer map is finished generating, and after it's saved, we're going to go on to doing a pointer scan. In order to do that, we're going to take this second address and right click it and hit pointer scan for this address right underneath generate pointer map. Now open up this UI and we're going to click this checkbox that says use saved pointer map. And we're going to select the second pointer map that we generated. So we just generated Steam number two. That's the one we're going to use for our saved pointer map. And then we're also going to check compare results with other saved pointer maps. And for this one, we're going to use the previous one, Steam number one that we generated earlier. And we're going to fill in this address field with the address that we saved from the first iteration. And then finally, down at the bottom here, there is a checkbox for pointers must end with specific offsets. We're going to click that and we're going to put in the value 260 here in the first field. 260 is a magic number. I know from some experimentation that 260 is the final offset where the X coordinate of your character is stored in whatever character object is being stored in memory. And so we only want to look at pointers that have 260 as its final offset. So now that we have all that set up, we're going to hit OK to do a pointer scan. We can go ahead and just call this Steam scan. We'll be able to open that later. And this should go pretty quickly because we already generated our pointer maps. And once this is done, it's going to open up a big table, which shows us all of the different pointer chains that start with the base address of our executable plus a static memory offset, and then up to 6 different pointer indirections to get to our character's XYZ coordinate. One thing that I like to do here is start from the furthest offset and sort them, and then pick the pointer chains with the fewest number of offsets as my candidates. The reason I do that is because the less indirections through pointers that you're doing, the more likely you are to find a pointer which will stay stable in between reloads of the game. So now that we have a bunch of candidate static addresses, what we're going to do is just double click these and it adds them down here into our address list. And I think for completeness, I'm just going to go down through here and add basically all of these. Okay, so now that I've added all of these to my address list, I can close this out. And the final step that we're going to do here is to find out which, if any of these, are actually stable references to our character's exposition. So you'll immediately see that some of these oscillate, so they're not pointing to a static place in memory, and so we can just delete these outright. So anything that doesn't have our current exposition, and we're currently standing at the unstuck position, so it's going to be 19,430. And then what I like to do is simply leave the tower. And after you load back in, you'll see that a number of these stop referring to a sensible value, and we can just delete these outright. So all these ones that turn into question marks, we can just delete them. Not stable enough for us. And then go back into the tower. And then maybe we just hit on stuck so that it's a value that we're familiar with. And we see here, all these are reasonably stable, at least based on that short test. And one last thing we're going to do is again quit the game and then relaunch it to make sure that all of these are stable in between restarts of the game. And if you really wanted to, you could take this to the next level and fully restart your computer. And then just make sure to save your address list in Cheat Engine before you do that. Fully restart your computer and then see which one of these are stable. I haven't had issues with just leaving the tower and restarting my game, though, as far as pointer stability goes. So that might be a little bit of overkill. Okay, and then now that I've launched Palia again, I need to attach Cheat Engine to the process. I want to keep my current address list, and we see here that all of these seem to have stayed pretty stable. And so what I'm going to do now is take one of these pointers and I'm going to update the Autosplitter file with this new information. So I've already done this for the current version for the Steam client, or for the, I'm not sorry, not the Steam client, the Windows native client. And now I'm going to update it for the Steam client. I think that I might try to get one that looks similar to the Windows client, just because, that makes me feel good internally. And so this actually has the exact same pointer chain. This doesn't always happen. Sometimes they're kind of different. But what you're going to do is click on the address column of one of your valid pointers here. So I just clicked on the first one. It'll open up this little address UI. And on the bottom is all the information that you need to fill out these X, Y, and Z coordinates for the state stanza. So the first thing you're going to do is get this little offset at the bottom. You have the executable name plus some offset. Grab the offset, and then that is going to be what you put in here for this first offset for each of your values. And then you're going to, from bottom to top, add each of these offsets in order. So you start with 0, put in 0 here. For the next item, you have 20, put 20 here. Third offset, you have 1A0. And then the final offset, you have 260. And once you have that for X, all you need to do to turn it into the proper Y and Z coordinates is add an offset of 8 bytes at a time. Keep in mind that this is hexadecimal, so when you add 8 to 8, it carries over into the next place. So it goes from 168 to, or I'm sorry, 268 to 270. And then just hit save. And if you're if you're updating the Autosplitter file that you currently have linked to your live split, you should be able to test it immediately by just running over the start line and see if it picks it up. You can hit unstuck and reset, see if it resets. And if that's working, you should be good to go. And that is how you update the Palia Autosplitter script. If I'm not around to update this, feel free to make these changes yourself and test them, and submit a pull request to GitHub so that other people have a chance to use the script if I'm not responsive. And that's it. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments if I can help clarify anything.